Welcome in, everybody out there. We got a great one lined up for you tonight, or at least we hope it's going to be great. Everybody knows all about the Titanic. A lot of crazy things have happened there since. People got a lot of conspiracy about it. We're going to break some of them down and see if we got any truth to it. As always, we got up here the mouth of the South coming in over from Houston. How you doing? Or I guess the voice of Houston, the mouth of the South, whichever one you want to call it. He goes by a lot of different names. Mystery Man. How you doing tonight there, LW?
Oh, happy Friday, everyone. Good to be here for another fun show. Going to delve into the Titanic. Unfortunately, KJ's not going to be here. She was going to sing us Celine Dion, and Baker and I were going to recreate the boat scene, but we'll have to settle for Gutters tonight, singing us out.
Yeah, I hope Gutters got, from what I understand, she loosened up her vocal cords last night pretty well. So, how you doing there tonight, Gutters Pub? We've got the philanthropist, the entrepreneur, Instagram star, Gutters Pub. How you doing tonight, Gutters?
I was going to come all in with a sexy voice, but y'all choked me up there. It's a great night, and I can't wait to get into this. Let's see if we can get her done.
I like it with a little Larry the Cable Guy reference there. She's getting her done. Oh, and we got Mr. Producer over here with us as well. How you doing tonight, Baker?
I'm doing fantastic. Happy Friday, everybody. You know what I learned while I was doing this research was that there is such a thing as a immoral jellyfish. Apparently, it can regress its stages back to a juvenile. It's like, what the hell?
It's like the Benjamin Button of jellyfish?
Apparently. I didn't know that existed, but, the more you know.
Does the pain go away the more, the younger it gets, or does it stay the same?
Oh, no, and the credit score doesn't get higher either.
Oh, nice. All right, folks, we're going to start this up here in just a minute. Let some people fall in, and we'll get the show going here in just a second. And it's going to be a doozy. We're not going to talk about Rose or any of those, dropping medallions into the ocean, diamonds, or any of that, or whether or not she drowned Leonardo DiCaprio on purpose, but we do have some other fun facts about all this.
Listening to the ASN Podcast Network.
All right, welcome in everybody. Good to see everybody out there tonight. Hope everybody just now coming in has smashed that thumbs up button. It does help that stream or this stream, Gutter stream, LW stream, whoever you're on. It helps them get out there to all these wonderful people out there in YouTube land, X land, you know, no matter where we're streaming out to. But we love seeing everybody up in here. So what was that? Gutters just made a little pop-up thing happen just now.
I did. I did a little thumbs up, and then I did also,
up.
for some reason, it gave me some.
Oh, look. Got one up here, too. Going on, you got fireworks going on and everything. You seem to be quite, very rejuvenated tonight. So that's very nice to see. So I guess you got a new chair there or something. I hope there's no additions in that. But welcome in, folks. We'll be playing here all
Pep
night
in the step.
long. So before we get started, let me say hey to a couple people out here coming in the chat. Who we got in here? Karen from HR checking in on us as always. Always good to not see Karen. We got Crispy in here. Good to see you, Crispy. Matt Dummett, Yoda T. What's up, Yoda? We got Friction in here. Kentucky Blue Balls. Good to see you, buddy. Johnny Siam, Matt Dummett. Let's see. Nate the Great. How you doing? Nate the Great says, I'm down bad. Well, Nate, I hope you're not down too bad. Get ready for a fun show. Miss Scarlett coming in here, complimenting your thumbnail there, Baker. Love the thumbnail. Good to see you, Miss Scarlett. Let's see who else we got in here. S.O., what's up, S.O.? Roll the dice, good to see you. Amy Lynn, what's up, Amy? Good to see you as well. Let's see. Maui Howie, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Wanda E., as always. Army Vet up in here. Good to see you, Army Vet. Let's see. We got Dog, no matter how you say that. Good to see you. Anastasia, not a Romanoff. Good to see you, Anastasia, in here. Wanda E.'s in here. Andy Heinrich, what's up, Andy? We got a Bayou Tigers Network. Good to see you, Goose. Good to see you, Goose Sports. Let's see who else we have. Said Army Vet. Yeah, if I missed your name, didn't mean to. We'll say hey to people all night long. But we got a great show lined up for us. Anybody want to tell us about this show tonight?
It's a ship and it sunk.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. That was a great show. So any conspiracies aside, just ignore them.
That's right.
No, honestly, we got something great coming up. I didn't realize there was a lot of conspiracy surrounding just the Titanic alone. I don't know how many avenues that there are, but L-Dub pointed out a few.
Yeah, you got that they switched. J.P. Morgan, they owned the Titanic, the Olympia, and the Britannic. That they switched the names on the ship for insurance purposes, and then you have the whole Federal Reserve angle of it with J.P. Morgan and three of the richest people on earth who died on the ship. But a lot of good stuff. A lot of conspiracies about it.
Yep.
Yeah, there is lots of good ones out there. The ones, some of them, we'll talk about them when we're done talking about them, I guess. But I don't necessarily buy into all of them. But there are some interesting things. So, Baker, didn't you have kind of synopsis you wanted to run off with at the beginning of this, or?
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess everybody knows the story of the Titanic. It set sail from England. It was basically a cruise ship. That was like one of the very first passenger cruise ship lines, because all the ships back in those days, before the Titanic, it was always geared up to be the quickest ship. We want to get from England to New York as fast as humanly possible. This ship was different. This was built for leisure. This was built for the rich and the famous. So, it set sail out of England, hit New York, it picked up passengers, and on its way back, it hit a damn iceberg in Newfoundland. So it's just interesting how, this was the first ship of its kind. Well, I guess this was like the fourth ship in this fleet, but this was the first one that was considered unsinkable because of all the different compartments that it had. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of the standard, everything you learned in high school or even grade school or even from the damn movie, minus, doing the thing on the bow of the ship. Which, by the way, how in the heck did they even get some of these recounts from some of these survivors? Like, because some of the things that we talk about in here are factually true, but then some of the conspiracy theory stuff, they don't have any records of. It's all conspiracy, but they have more records of the people that died and accounts from the people that died than they do on these damn records.
Yeah, I don't know how that goes, but I know the movie really glorified the whole thing. So
yeah, it absolutely did.
You know, I don't really think there was a Rose or what was his name in that? DiCaprio. Jack. Leave it to the girl to answer that one. Yeah, I don't know that they're, you know, none of that's true.
Yeah, the movie was in the same vein as like Pearl Harbor with Ben Affleck, you know.
Right, exactly. It's all based on a true story. You know, there's so many of those ones that come out there like that. Now you have people arguing, saying, "Oh, well, this is how it happened because the movie said so." And it's like, no, the movie, that's not even at all true. They just made all that other stuff up. There was this battle, but none of this other stuff really happened.
Well, I think that, yes, they Hollywood glorified this movie, but I think there are some accounts that were true in the movie that kind of fit, at least timeline-wise. But I guess what I'm saying about the whole conspiracy aspect is I'm going to start off out front and say I don't believe any of these conspiracies, but there are a few in here that are rather curious that they do line up, and it is plausible, and I can see why people are saying this. But I don't know. I guess once we get to, dive deep into it more, we can have a discussion. Hopefully some folks out there, maybe they've got more information than what I was finding. I had a lot of mixed information out there, so I had to weed through a lot of crap to come up with what we came up with.
Yeah, there's a lot of, what would they call it, misinformation out there on a lot of these. And we're going to even talk about those. And I think that's fun to talk about these conspiracies, whether they're true, not. Everybody else can be the judge to decide whether or not you believe any of them. But, you know. Yeah, exactly, Amy. Some of the characters were real, but the main ones, are all made up. Yeah, exactly. So, good to see you too, Amy. Good to see you as always. Molly was real. Okay, I didn't know that. Good to see you, Big Dog Ma, as well. So what do you want me to do, Baker? You want to bring up your thumbnail here?
Yeah, you can go ahead and bring it up. Yeah, you can go ahead and bring it up.
All right, here we go. Let me pull this other stuff down, fix this so we're not looking all janky here. I should have been on the ball. But, go on ahead and start telling us about this.
Well, just what it... Okay, hold on. It's just like what I was talking about before. It was one of those things where the ship was, out in Newfoundland. Iceberg came out of nowhere, apparently. This thumbnail, I was just having fun with it. A diving suit with a little welding device, thinking that there's an iceberg out in the distance, but somebody did this on purpose. That's kind of the idea of the thumbnail. But anywho, sorry.
Yeah, this is a cool picture here.
Yeah, I thought it was neat how they. I mean, obviously it's digital, but they kind of superimposed the actual ship and then what it looks like underwater. And how it's sunk. That's a pretty cool little picture I found.
Yeah, that looks pretty neat. So, did you look at many of the underwater pictures and stuff like that, like going through this? Did you happen to do that, any of you guys?
Not really, because none of the pictures from underwater really interest me that much, if I'm being quite honest, because they've dove down there I don't know how many times. They found whatever they found wreckage wise. They have a pretty good study of how the ship actually went down and what kind of damage it had on its I guess it was a stern. It was maybe the port side stern. So they have all of that pretty much well documented. That's why some of these conspiracies, they're just really hard to believe. But
well, I heard they were making a new submarine powered by a Sega controller. So I actually entered your name into the contest to win that, Baker. So you can rest easy.
That's you good. Too, huh?
What a bunch of idiots got into that stupid submarine to go down there and look.
Did any of y'all watch that? Sorry, I don't mean to sidetrack, but it's about the Titanic, I guess. The documentary on Netflix about that guy? Man, that was wild.
Yeah, I watched part of it. It's pretty crazy. Look here at KJ coming in just taunting us while she's on vacation camping. I think she said she was camping. Good to see you, KJ. Miss having you up here. What's up, Gixer? Good to see you as well. All right, so yeah, it is pretty neat to look at some of the footage, though, of it. But it's a pretty cool, like, overimposed or superimposed, whatever you want to call it, picture going over the top of it.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm checking some settings here. We're getting reports that I'm loud and everybody's soft.
No.
Oh, okay. Wow. We didn't want
it's like well, I don't know what to do about it. I'm doing this as we go. Fuck it, we're gonna do it live.
Yeah, folks, we haven't quit our day job yet either. So
no, absolutely not.
With us.
And I think he meant low. I think he meant
everybody
low.
else was low and I was high or something. I don't know. But This goes on with what we were dealing with last night. Remember I was telling you this about it sounded weird, fools?
Yeah, I don't know. StreamYard's having a lot of glitches. Let's see. All right. Yeah, just everybody in chat, just make sure, let us know if you can hear us well or all that kind of jazz. That would help us out just a bit. StreamYard's been acting all janky. Wanda E says we're fine, so there we
Okay,
go.
well, that's good
Keep
enough.
on rolling.
And Wanda, I trust. So, anyways, moving forward, obviously, I just wanted to include the actual picture of the Titanic because, why not?
Yeah, because we're talking about the damn
Because
thing,
we're
right?
talking about that. Yeah.
Sounds like a good idea. I don't know.
Well, the idea for me doing this was actually, I was going to talk more about it while we were actually, kind of going through it, but I got sidetracked. So this is totally on me. If there were clown music to be played, it would be playing right now.
We could probably do something about that.
Maybe.
I mean, you wouldn't show pictures of the U.S. minnow, but
I should have. I'm just going to bask in this for a little bit.
All right. You asked for clown music. I always got it right on hand, ready for myself.
All right, now I'm back on track. Yeah, so basically what I was saying earlier is, just a little history on the Titanic. It left from Southampton, England, on its way to New York City. It was carrying 2,200 passengers and crew. It had some of the most wealthiest people in the world with the lavish first-class accommodations, blah, blah, blah. We all know that story. But, the fact that it was considered widely unsinkable at the time, those were the claims. This particular vessel was owned by White Star Line, which just a little bit of, there's a lot of history of this company by itself. And from what I'm just going to jump ahead to when it's more valid for our conversation. Mm-hmm. But this was purchased by a well-known American banker, John Pierpont Morgan, or J.P. Morgan, in 1902. And he was hoping to obtain a monopoly in the North America, via the trade routes and buying several ship companies. He was trying to create a monopoly just like he did when he purchased, the train sector in America when he was building those lines across America. But what's interesting is there were 3 very well-known American passengers aboard this ship. And they all 3 have something very much in common. John here, he was an American businessman, real estate developer, kind of like your ancient day Donald Trump, so to speak.
He even has a rich name.
He
John
does.
Jacob
John
Astor
Jacob
the
Astor.
Fourth.
Yeah, no, he totally has a rich name. He was considered the richest person in the world at the time. I think the equivalent in monetary value is as inflation rates are adjusted. I think he had like $2.8 billion in today's money. But he was the richest person in the world at the time. He was also an inventor and a writer, and he served in the Spanish-American War. I mean, this guy was pretty much, in line with the rest of how the American entrepreneur people kind of risen through the ranks in America to become wealthy. You also had Benjamin
Real quick before you jump onto there. That was kind of interesting. Go back to that last one, if you can. I was sitting there reading that. So actually he was, which later became famous as, so he started the Waldorf Astoria hotel line. So that's kind of interesting. You ever stay at a Waldorf Astoria? They're pretty nice.
I have not actually, no.
Yeah, they're actually pretty nice hotels. So stayed at a couple of them before, and I never knew that. So now I learned something tonight. So that's great.
Yeah, right. You had Benjamin Guggenheim. He was an American businessman as well, and a key member of a mining, smelting empire. His family had a lot of wealthy mines and owned the mineral rights to a lot of them. He had a little bit of a sketchy reason for why he was on the Titanic, from what I found. Again, I don't believe any of this stuff because he was the one that I was getting the least information on. I even found an article where he was actually a part owner of White Star Line. So it looked like he was part of the owner, or he was the owner of Titanic. It's really difficult to understand what's actually happened with this guy. But basically, allegedly, he was on the Titanic and he was on there with his mistress. But according to, I guess, detailed reports from, again, passengers that somehow reported this, I don't know. Like I said, it's kind of weird how we have more information of what he did on the ship than what we do in his life before the ship. is that he was apparently saving women and children. He went down with the ship because he just kept saving people. So, if that is proven to be true, then, as far as I'm concerned, he's kind of a hero.
Yeah, that's interesting. There was a couple people that did things like that. Maybe the next guy you're coming up to.
Perhaps. I mean, they all kind of did, but Isidor Strauss, Bavarian-born American businessman. You notice they're all businessmen. He's a co-owner of Macy's department store. I believe he had his family owned a China business, making fine china, and then when he became co-owner of the Macy's department store, his fine china was displayed and sold out of the Macy's stores. And I think it might even still be there today. I'm not sure. I don't ever go to Macy's because who actually goes shopping in a mall anymore?
My wife.
Oh. But he also served as a United States House of Representative. He only did it for 1 year, though. So if people thinking, oh my God, a U.S. representative went down. No, he served for 1 year, and he was filling in for in a special election. He only stayed there for I can't remember. Yeah, when it was up for term, and it was like 1895, I think it was, when it was up for term, he didn't rerun. He's just like, heck with that. This place is a cesspool. No thanks. But the night that the ship went down, here's where the conspiracy starts kicking in. Allegedly, these three men that we just covered were adamantly against something called the Federal Reserve Act. And what that did is that instituted a centralized banking system in America. They were vocal about it. The night that the ship went down, that whenever they arrived in New York, grabbed passengers and left, J.P. Morgan was allegedly supposed to be on that ship, and he canceled at the last moment. I mean, he is the owner of the company that owns the ship on the maiden voyage out of America. So that's where a lot of the conspiracy theories kick in. Nobody actually knows if that's true or not. I could not find any information on the internet that verified this. But the conspiracy theories, this is where it kind of lines up. After the ship went down, J.P. Morgan was able to meet on Jekyll Island with his little group of cronies and get enough votes to pass the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. What's interesting about the way the ship went down, though, is that there weren't enough lifeboats. It's almost as like this was staged this way. There wasn't enough lifeboats there to save everybody's life. There was only capacity for like 1,200 lifeboats, I believe. Yeah, so the capacity of the lifeboats were, for only 1,178 people. There were 2,200 people on board. So, I mean, a little over half the people could be saved if they were to fill all the lifeboats to capacity.
Yeah, and weren't they putting people out like with half full lifeboats and stuff like that at first?
They were, yeah. So, the Lifeboat 7, it was designated to hold 65 people, and it was launched with 28. They say that this was due to, contributing factors of, nobody believed the ship could actually go down. There was a lot of confusion. There was some fear. There was a lot of reasons behind this. But the reality is that the Titanic was actually, as far as lifeboats go, they were actually holding enough lifeboats on their boat to be 100% compliant with the regulations. So the regulations at the time, and they hadn't been updated since 1894, is that any ship that has a vessel over 10,000 tons need only carry enough lifeboats to accommodate 962 people. Well, the Titanic had enough capacity for 1,178 people. So they actually exceeded the requirements of this. So that, it's just kind of interesting that some people say, well, the lifeboats, there weren't enough lifeboats, and how could they let this happen? And this was all an inside job to get people, offed before the Federal Reserve because these people are against it. And I don't think that's I don't think that's true at all. I think that this was just an outdated regulation. Ships at the time were being built quicker, bigger, faster, and the regulation, just like any other government entity, wasn't able to keep up with times. So that's, in my opinion, that's the reality. What do you guys think?
Well, from my understanding, there was about 2,300 people on the Titanic, and they actually had space for... They only put half of what they had space for, and that before it took off, they didn't even do any training exercises like, what if it goes down? We do this or that. It was kind of they just flew by the seat of their pants. Like, half is good. But I think they could have held like almost double of what they had. They just chose not to.
Yeah, they definitely had the room to put the lifeboats on there, but they just didn't. Like you're saying, it's regulations, so they're like, hell, I mean, now with anything, I mean, they're just going to do what regulations require. Now they're going to say, hey, you need enough lifeboats to hold everybody on the boat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, as far as they're concerned, they were within regulation.
Yeah.
Right. And it probably made it look gaudy and tacky, you know, with all these boats hanging off the side.
Well, yeah, there were some wooden boats and there were some other type boats. There were some temporary boats. I mean, regardless, you're going to get in that freezing water. You're not going to live very long, anyways.
No.
The fact that people
like,
even lived. You know.
Yeah, it's like Fool said. You know, corporate. I mean, they still do it today. You know, you just go with the bare minimum. You know, what's legal. You know.
All right, maximize profit.
Right. 100%. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think that was done on purpose, like to, you know, so, I mean, how would you pick and choose who's going to be able to get on the dang things? Anyway, that's way too much of too much planning, you know, trying to go into some make.
But
sure
wait, y'all
those
are
three
just
people-
skimming over the fact that they didn't start out with enough lifeboats to begin with. So, I mean,
Well, that's what we just said.
well, I know, but it's like you just kind of skimmed over it. Like,
Well, yeah,
now let's
but-
just deal with the whole part of the fact that now who you going to pick? Well,
Yeah, but that's not the point. The point is that back in the day, the regulation was they only had to have so many lifeboats, and they actually exceeded to accommodate more than what the regulation actually said they had to. They exceeded the amount.
I mean, it was unsinkable. Come on, when you didn't even need lifeboats.
yeah.
I don't know. This is where some of the confusion comes in. So let's go down to Conspiracy Avenue, shall we? Maybe if this was an inside job, the person that, because wasn't there a key that was allegedly locked away so they couldn't get a box open that had a scope in it that they can see these icebergs for watch? L-Dub, were you telling me this?
No, that one I've never heard.
Yeah, I was the one telling you about that. So there was the binoculars. Okay, so the binoculars for some reason were kept locked into a cabinet. Okay, and the person who had the key, for some reason there's only one key to the binocular cabinets for the lookout guy. Now, the person who was in charge of the key was let go the day before the ship, or, you know, was taken off duty or whatever the day before the ship sailed. A new guy replaced him, and the guy didn't give him the key. So they didn't want him to break into the box for fear of getting in trouble with the cruise company for damaging property or something. That was like the excuse used. So they didn't open the cabinet box because they didn't have a key. So the lookouts had no binoculars. I mean, you know, heaven forbid the whole boat sink, you know, over a cabinet door, but, you know, that's just I guess, the way it was. So
Yeah. No, well, either way, if you want to go down Conspiracy Avenue, let's just say that was a thing, and let's say this was an inside job, and let's say that, you know, this ship was deliberately steered towards the iceberg because maybe the captain went for a little snooze while whoever was captaining the ship at the time was an insider for JP Morgan and knew what was going to happen and got himself in a lifeboat before anybody else. You know, maybe he had an exit plan already. All of that could be true. Have no idea. I mean, we weren't there. This is 1912, right? But, you know, it's fun to think about that other possibility. Like, for a moment, let's just say that this is real. Well, okay, what's the ramification of this? Well, like I said before, the ramifications is that they passed the Federal Reserve Act. And what did that do? Well, it created the Federal Reserve System, and it's a hybrid structure of centralized banking, pretty much. It decentralized the network of reserve banks, and it made it centralized. And, you know, it was passed because of the financial panic in 1907. In fact, I believe J.P. Morgan himself had to bail the U.S. government out of that particular financial crisis. And J.P. Morgan was the one saying, you guys need to set up a Federal Reserve System so I don't have to keep bailing you out. Because at the time, J.P. Morgan was the Federal Reserve System, to be honest with you. So the impact of that, obviously, is you look at it today, we've got a central banking system. It's supposed to stabilize the economy. You know, it kind of moved us towards the modern monetary policies that we see today. You can use your own judgment on that. But the other thing that it did is it enacted the 16th Amendment. and that gave Congress the power to levy a federal income tax. And I know none of us here on this panel likes that idea.
I actually love that idea. I love federal income taxes. So if any IRS people are watching, Vandy Dandy,
Right.
yeah, I definitely love federal income taxes. I think it's a great idea. Yes, love paying them too.
Long live the IRS. You heard it here first.
You both make me sick. But yeah.
So getting back to that, so a lot of people think that they brought these people on, and they say that who was it? Was it J.P. Morgan that he like opted off the the trip? What was it, like the day before?
Yeah,
or
the
something?
day before. Yeah.
Now,
Like, it's
the thing-
convenient that he knew that.
Well, the thing about that is he did opt out. I think he's even admitted it. A bunch of his people went on the boat and didn't make it. Obviously, his personal people. But there are actually records to where the official story his people gave was, oh, he wanted to stay and go to France and look at some artwork or something like that. But come to find out, he had some health problems, and there's actually health records of him being in France before and after the Titanic set sail, where he was getting medical treatment for his health issues. So it was apparently he stayed behind because he wasn't feeling well and he had some issues. But so that's the other side of the coin on to why he didn't go. And
I like Gixer's here. He says, I don't mind paying taxes, but I hate the fraud, waste, and abuse. Every time I hit a pothole, I want $10 back from personal property taxes. Yeah, there we go. That would be a good idea.
Unfortunately, yeah. Well, and people will forget that before these times, before we had a federal income tax and before we had the Federal Reserve banking system, in order to pay for our bills, we were levying tariffs against everybody. I mean, that's just how we did it. I mean, that's kind of how Trump's kind of doing again. I don't necessarily have a problem with tariffs. I know people are going to, yell at me for this, but tariffs are a tax that I choose to pay. It's not one that I have to pay.
Right. Well, anyway, we don't want to go down that road.
yeah, that's a whole other show right there.
Yeah, total another show. Tuesday nights, tune into Gutters Pub. Everybody check that out over there.
You like how I always set those layups up for you?
Yeah, there you go. Thanks. Appreciate that.
You're
All
welcome.
right, so a lot of people think this had to do with that. Quite the plan. Now, here's one that I came across. Now, this is actually really, really interesting. So, this book here. So it was called Futility or the Wreck of the Titan. Okay, so this book was written in 1898, I think it said. Wasn't that right? Yeah, 1898, Morgan Robertson. So it's a story about a fictional ocean liner named the Titan who was traveling in the North Atlantic, hit an iceberg, and so it was 14 years before this came out. It was also described in the book as the unsinkable ship, and it like, what were the other things?
Well, it looks just like it.
Yeah, well, and I think that was fabricated afterwards. That they probably added more to the story. Like, wow, what a coincidence. But it was both ships were like the largest, most luxurious of their time. Unsinkable, strikes an iceberg, exact same thing. Both ships carried the minimum required number of lifeboats, and this was 14 years or something before, which was quite I guess a coincidence, but the fact that it's named the Titan, the same story. So, that leads to a lot of conspiracies there as well. Have y'all ever heard of that?
I didn't hear about it until you had mentioned it while I was doing my research.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one either.
Yeah, and this is some real, Simpsons, shenanigans going on here. But I did look into Morgan Roberts after you and I spoke about this, and apparently Morgan Roberts was a maritime expert. So basically, he was predicting if this was going to happen, this is how it would go down. So he had a lot of industry knowledge of what happens when a particular situation occurs, and he was basically writing a book, kind of depicting. It was kind of a way of writing a book was kind of a way to warn people, hey, we need to update our safety standards.
Right,
that's
because
just
I'm
what I
sure-
read about.
I would imagine the Titanic was not the first ship or boat that got sunk by a iceberg, right? That'd be safe to say.
I would
Yeah, I think that
assume
would be
so.
100% safe to say.
Right, yeah. So it was probably from, some things that had happened, and he kind of came up with that warning, like Baker said.
Yeah, and so to say that, is there a lot of coincidences here? That sounds a little weird. I don't know. You tell me, but the fact that they got the time of year.
Itself.
Well, the name itself, they got the time of year right, which is even weirder. They got the starboard side collision. I think I said port side. It's starboard side collision. They got that right. There's a lot of details that they were able to get right in this book. Now, have I read the book and gone through everything? And for all we know, they had a lot of other details that were incorrect. But at least these facts,
I'm sure there is stuff.
yeah, at least these facts is kind of interesting.
Right, and it's just it is just a neat coincidence, I guess. I mean, it's kind of weird. In the name of the Titan, I mean, that's pretty crazy in itself that there was a book called The Wreck of the Titan. And then they go, well, hey, let's name our ship the Titanic and do the same course as the book. Yeah, it's like, maybe they didn't read the book.
It sounds like a lot of inspiration from that book, from those people like the guy who said even God couldn't sink this ship.
Right.
Well, I looked up the original book cover of that book, and it does kind of look like it. I'm surprised. But you can only see 3 stacks because the other one's underwater. But
well, and you
looks a lot
think,
like
that's the typical way ships looked.
Yeah.
I don't think there was some. I mean, most cruise ships look damn near. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they were all following the same model.
Right.
Yeah, the big thing though is, like when they showed the Britannic and then versus the Titanic and the Olympic, there was a big difference between the Titanic and the Olympic versus the Britannic. It was way. It didn't look nothing. It didn't have 4 stacks. None of that. I think it had 1.
Right, different models.
Mm-hmm.
Different models. But so anyway, yeah. Enough about the book. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is interesting.
All right, so now I think we're diving into what people in the chat were wanting to talk about with the big bait and switch. LW, I think you sent this one in. You want to go over this a little bit?
Yeah, that's the one that I've seen for years where the windows were different. And then there's an underwater picture. And this goes into the switch theory, with the theory being that the Olympic was so damaged, but it was uninsured. So they they flipped it or whatever. Mm-hmm. But when you go underwater, or when you look at I think they've studied the portholes. And one of the big things is the Olympia had 16 portholes, and the Titanic had 14. On the top of the ship where they put the ropes through and stuff like that. But the Titanic had 14. So there was a bunch of pictures before Titanic set sail. So that's what everybody pointed to, was the Titanic only had 14, and the Olympic had 16. But then there's a whole bunch of paperwork that they actually, to meet specifications a couple weeks before, they added 2 portholes to the Titanic, and there's a lot of documentation to back that up. And they actually, and this is the big thing about the insurance, they never got paid out for the insurance. They actually they underinsured it, and it actually cost them $2 million. So the whole conspiracy about the insurance thing kind of never is really not true.
Well,
they were in the hole for $2 million actually.
Right, I think it's important. Real quick, Beer and Backroads, thanks for that. Beer and Backroads gifting out a Traveling Fools membership there, going to D what? So thank you very much, Beer and Backroads. Much appreciated, buddy. Thank you so much. Now, I think we should back this story up a little bit. So we start at the beginning. So the Olympic goes out on its maiden voyage, and they're trying to maneuver through some tight space, and they hit a, I think it was a...
It was a warship, wasn't it?
Yeah, British warship or something. Yeah. And it turned out it put a big hole in the front of it.
Right.
And it turned out that the cruise line was found at fault. So they were in the thing, and they didn't know if the ship would ever run right again. It had messed up part of the prop system. It had jarred the whole boat and or ship, I guess. Cruise people get mad at you if you call it a boat. But
Right.
ooh, gotta be careful on that one. But shout out to all my cruise friends out there. Yeah, so the whole story there goes that they got it back, they put it back in dry dock. Titanic was almost getting done. So the story was that they concocted some kind of, master plan of swapping all the stuff, the names, the everything. And they did conveniently, they did a whole lot of things making the boat, changing the inside of a lot of the boats to match each other. They did it under the guise of updating, and why they were updating new ships, I don't know. A lot of it doesn't make sense. They interviewed a lot of the people. People were like threatened to be, it was all done hush hush. So, yeah, I'll let somebody else go on about that.
It's a boat and it sunk.
A boat that sunk. But no, so you know what Gutters, you look into that at all?
One of the things that I had looked into, actually I didn't really look into it. It was something I was watching through a video, and they had talked about the lettering inside, where it was supposed to, it said Olympic, but when you went underwater, of course, you looked at it, they were scuba diving down there, whatever, had cameras, whatever, and it said Titanic, but there was 2 letters missing, and underneath was, instead of where those letters were, there were raised letters, and it was an M and a P, which would have meant it was the Olympic. But again, for me, if that's the only proof they've got, is that when you look at the windows from underneath in the water, to me, it definitely looks like it was the Titanic, not the Olympic. So,
how crazy would it have been if the 2 letters missing were the I and a C and it was the Titan?
Ooh, that would have been even better. It was the boat out of the book.
Right.
Sorry, I had to say that.
Dimensions. Now, see, I don't think... Now, this is one of those things. I'm not saying I believe 100% in this conspiracy. Everybody, decide what you want. But I could see a plan like this being concocted.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
like
me
it's
too.
not out of sight to think a bunch of rich people wouldn't care about 1,200 people drowning.
Yeah.
You know
Absolutely.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And there was recounts after interviews that there was odd shaking in the boat. And apparently they didn't know if the Olympic was going to be able to ever be insured again, or if it would be deemed seaworthy because of the structural damage in repairing it. And the whole, I guess, like the shaft was damaged that, that ran, the props and everything like that. And there was reports afterwards of, from the people that survived, of the ship, randomly making odd vibrations, which could account for anything. But that is a telltale sign of a damaged shaft.
God, I hate it when my shaft gets damaged.
I know, it vibrates like that.
I was trying to just roll right over it. Y'all just had to.
I was waiting for
Drag
it.
me right
I was
in.
setting you up, Gutters. I was setting you up.
Yeah,
speaking of which,
there's
what-
actually... Go ahead, Baker, sorry.
I was gonna say, speaking of which, what was the name of the boat you were on last night, Gutters?
It was the Portland Spirit.
That sounds
I'll
about
keep
like
my next joke to myself.
Why?
So what were you going to say there, LW?
I was like, there was something I was going to bring up about a shaft, but I was afraid to with Gutters around. But that's another thing about the propeller shaft. So apparently, the Olympia. It might say, is it Olympic or Olympia?
Well, that's the Olympic.
The Olympic. I
Yep.
thought so. I don't know why I'm sitting
Yep.
here stuttering around. But apparently, there's the manufacturer. It's like had 400 marked on it. That was the 400. That was the marking for that one. And the Titanic was 401 originally. So when they switched it, and a guy, this is what added to the conspiracy theories in the 90s. This guy wrote a book coming up with the switch theory, and that's one thing that he gave was that when they went diving or when they went down with the cameras underneath, that the propeller shaft had 400 on it. So that means it's the Olympic. I don't know. Somebody kicked me off the show right now.
Right. Say Olympia 5 times really fast.
Right. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
I may be rubbing off on you. Sorry.
But there was nothing to really back it up. He really didn't present any evidence, but there has later been some of these little ships that have gone down there and have actually seen that on that propeller shaft that is 401, which would be the original Titanic marking. So,
yeah,
you said shaft, so I,
and I mean, the argument could be made that they switched the freaking propeller shaft. Yeah,
right.
There's a million things that could be there. They could have done it. I mean, a lot of people say it would be impossible, but I don't think anything's impossible to swap out. I mean, the ships sitting right next to each other in a shipyard. You could definitely swap stuff out and make basically identical ships look alike.
Yeah, the one thing another thing they said about the interior was they'd laid carpet down on a floor that, of course, the Titanic was brand new and it had a nice floor, but because it was different than the one that was actually on the Titanic, that they had to put carpet down. So I don't know if that's true or not either, and who would ever know?
And another thing I saw, and it's so hard to tell from the old pictures. You know what I mean? You're looking at pictures from 1914, but that when they were like bringing the Titanic to put it down into the water, it already had watermarks on it. That's another one of the theories that they say. How if you put a boat in the water, inevitably it's going to get those marks at the water level. And it had already had that. Now, how you tell that from a black and white, crappy photo from 1914, I don't know, but people swear on it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, now here's a great one too. So there was the mummy's curse, and that's why the Titanic went down. So that is another theory out there, that they were transporting a mummy princess, a princess. Young mummy on the ship to be delivered to some, I think it was in New York, some museum in New York. I think we got a picture of the actual sarcophagus here. That they were transporting this, and that is the reason why the Titanic sunk. Yeah, Goose, I'd never heard of this one either. But so totally BS theory, just throwing them out there, even if they are not true. Just to go on ahead and say totally BS, not at all. Even the museum, I think it's still in a museum in England to this day. So not a real one.
I mean, it does fit the mold though. If there was some cursed item on the ship, So that's what everybody always alludes to when they talk about these mummies and the Egyptian stuff. Which, by the way, we need to do a show on the ancient Egyptians and the pyramids and whatnot. Why have we not touched that?
I'm holding back. That's one of my favorite topics, so I want to make sure we get that one right.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a lot to explore there. But if this was true and there was a mummy on the ship, I mean, it just goes along to say. But when did the whole mummy curse become a thing? Wasn't it not until the 1930s when they opened up that one tomb that people started saying that there was a curse going on?
I mean, I think that kind of stuff has always gone on, but there was, I think it was it King Tut's tomb that they opened and all the people died and stuff like that?
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah, it's like everybody was cursed, the curse of the mummy. Next thing you're going to have Brendan Fraser starring in the next Titanic movie. The fat Brendan Fraser, not the old one from Encino Man, but the new version. I heard that movie he did recently was really good. But I haven't
I heard that too, but I don't go to movies, so I wait for them to come out and then I get them.
Did we bring up that they also said that one of the conspiracy theories was that it was a coal fire?
Oh yeah, that's another one that contributed to it. So you want to tell that if you know that story there, guys?
I don't know that. I just happened to glance across some of the stuff that I had wrote down, and that was one of the things.
And
I just
that
never got
isn't a conspiracy theory. There was, so they'd had the piles of coal underneath the boat, that they would shovel into, the the fire, that made the ship go. So there was a coal fire. When you say fire, I mean, it's not basically like, flaming fire, but the coals, like basically your charcoal grill. And, so only a part of it's lit. So what they were doing was they were pulling the coal that was hot and already going, and they were shoveling it into the burners to get rid of it first, and they were trying to get rid of it before it turned into a fire. So they were doing that, so it was way overloaded. Thus far, the ship was traveling at a lot faster speed than what it was designed to do.
Yep.
And that could have caused to, the delayed reaction, the ship not being able to turn as it's supposed to turn, various things like that. So that is a fact that actually did happen, and they were shoveling that in there, and the boat was traveling at a considerably faster speed than what it was supposed to be traveling at, which could have caused them not to be able to turn the way they would want to turn or stop as quick as they would want to. You know what I mean? It throws everything off. So, I mean, that is actually kind of a cool thing. I almost forgot to bring that up.
Yeah.
Is that all the slides? Yeah.
Yeah,
was
that's it.
There was another theory that
About the...
Sorry.
Go ahead. I was just going to say
about
that...
the failure to use the watertight doors, and that kind of pointed to a potential negligence of the closing of the ship's watertight doors, which could have contained the damage to the smaller area or potentially save the ship, was one of the theories they had also said.
Rec Talk says, I'm a guest. Rec, I probably just forgot to take you off Nightbot the other night, but you're always a guest here, Rec Talk. You're welcome to call in and give us your thoughts here in a minute, too, if you want to. We're going to drop some links and stuff like that. But yeah, everybody sub up Rec Talk. Good friend of mine. Nightbot's telling you to do it. Do everything that Nightbot tells you to do. If you do everything that Nightbot tells you to do, your life will be blessed. So, yeah, I think, I could see the theory of them, trying to swap the ships. Do I think that happened? Not really. I don't really think they swapped the ships, and I don't really think... I think the coal thing probably did contribute to it, and it was traveling faster than it should have been traveling. One interesting thing I did see was they were doing a study saying that had they not tried to dodge it and hit it head on, that it probably wouldn't have sunk.
Right. It would have split right through it.
Well, no, not that, but it would have the impact more than likely would have only damaged 2 to 3 of the chambers.
Right.
And it apparently could stay afloat with 4 chambers, leaking, damaged, full. It could stay afloat. But 5 chambers was the sinking, and I guess the iceberg caused 6 chambers, I think, to be damaged.
Yeah, and what I was going to bring up a minute ago was the ship that came to help them. There's a lot of conspiracy theory about why did they wait so long? Why did the captain go to sleep? And that was part of the conspiracy theory. Okay, you see when they shoot off the fireworks, the warning or the SOS, just ignore it and let them all drown or whatever, and just wait. So that's kind of the conspiracy. But it turns out their guy who was receiving messages that were coming from the Titanic, he just went to sleep early, apparently. And I don't know, that's a big part of the conspiracy theory too. It's just they didn't pay attention.
Well, that and the people from the other ship, this is kind of coincidental there too, was the people from the other ship who had sent a message to the Titanic warning about the iceberg, that it wasn't titled properly, so it didn't go through the proper chain of command, so they never saw it.
Right, exactly.
And then that ship doesn't answer their SOS calls. There's a lot of so many factors that all went wrong at one time. They couldn't get the binoculars out because the cabinet door was locked. Jesus Christ, if your job's
right.
to use binoculars and look out, and you get on the boat and they're like, well, sorry, that cabinet door's locked. You can't get in, and we don't have a key to let you in. You'd be like, well, give me a damn crowbar. I'm going to pop this cabinet door off, and I'm going to get the binoculars because
Right.
that's kind of important that we know what's ahead,
Speaking of kind of looking back at all these theories, the only reason why I even put any merit into the whole Federal Reserve and the passing of those acts is the fact that they tried to do this in the late 1800s, and J.P. Morgan was another proponent of getting this done. It wasn't until after certain people that were removed that were very vocal against it, allegedly, because again, I can't find any actual information that those people were vocal against it. It's just kind of an assumed or kind of a conspiracy at that point. But the fact that they tried to do this before.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, because that's one thing that I've, because I've heard this stuff in the past. That's one thing that was always said about those three main guys. And then when I go back and try to find any sort of record of them being so against it, there's really nothing there.
There's nothing. Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
And then the one guy, the Macy's guy, because he was in the House of Representatives, well, I looked him up. Well, he was in the House of Representatives in like 1895 for a year. So at the time, he wasn't in the House of Representatives. And then the third thing about that is the Jekyll Island thing. That was in like I was about to say 2010. That was in 1910, like 2 years before the Titanic.
That's correct. Yep.
And then this was going through Congress since like 1909, 1910. And they
had been fighting for it for a while, ever since 1907 when they had that financial panic, and the U.S. government had to go to J.P. Morgan for a bailout.
Yeah, and they would go back and forth. They would go back into the House, and it would just go back and forth trying to, change verbiage in it and stuff like that. But that's the reason I just don't buy that those three guys died, and that's how it went through in 1913. There's just not enough credible evidence to prove that.
There isn't, but there are a lot of dots that can be easily connected, and that's what makes it fascinating.
Well,
yeah, it does.
Big Dog Ma had a good question. She said, what happened to the Britannic? It was built by the same company, and it actually never became a passenger ship. It ended up going to war and sunk 9 months later. But it was actually the most luxurious out of the three, which was kind of trippy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was turned into, there was no soldiers on it. It was turned into like a hospital ship with a bunch of nurses.
Yep.
Yeah, triage ship, yeah.
Triage, yeah.
So that was fascinating to me. I thought, wow.
And they can actually mark with German military paperwork where they planted like mines in the ocean that when it sunk, they ran over a German mine.
Does anybody else find it fascinating that after the Federal Reserve was created in 1912, 2 years later, World War I broke out, and people that were involved in that decision stood to make a lot of money off that war?
No, war is always profitable.
Right, but there's a lot of ties there that I didn't go down because I figured that's a kind of a different show with World War I. But the inception of the Federal Reserve and the central bank, the banking system, and then the fact that we ended up, getting brought into a war that broke out in Europe, which was, I think that they were already on the centralized banking system at that time, because that was it wasn't a new concept or theory. There were centralized banks all over the place, and everybody knows America's stance on centralized banks. If you try to get away from the dollar, what happens?
Yeah.
you get regime changed.
You get regime change. That's right. So it kind of makes one wonder that if this wasn't like a prelude to World War I and how that all kicked off.
Yeah, definitely interesting. There is another theory that that I was reading about that I forgot to say, was that it was sunk by a German U-boat.
Oh, you know what? I did see something on that too. The recreation they did with the 3D scans, it all but debunked it.
Right.
But who's to say? I mean, it's hard to tell, based on the ship's holes. I mean, who's to say that it didn't happen? I mean, we don't know what the yield of those torpedoes were back in the day.
Right.
So it could have easily just created those kind of odd looking scraped holes. I mean, it is so hard to tell, but the recreations and the 3D scans that they've done, they said it pretty much confirms it was an iceberg. But I still think there's some doubt there.
Well, I mean, if one thing we've learned from doing a lot of these shows and stuff like that is, you can't damn near trust anything that you're ever told about anything.
Right.
Well,
and
and
it could
to
be
try and-
a cover up. It could be a cover up for something else. That maybe, that somebody did something, but they have to protect that person. So, just like we see today, with all the stuff in the news and that all of the stuff debunking it is true, but there's still something else that, we just don't know about because we had to protect somebody or something along the way,
Well, in trying to research it, everything that you see on the internet, if you think they can't change it, yes, they can. I mean, we've already done the Mandela effect. We all know how this all works. How one time you go to the internet and look up something and, it changes from the last time you were there. So
Right, and we know as well too that any science, anything, it's always, science was always an always changing thing, and now you try to even push back. You see a lot of these people, with ancient archaeology and things like that it's just, they're like, no, that's the way it was. And there's so much evidence coming out about all this stuff that pretty much tells you that the things that you read and have read in your history books your whole life very well might not be the real course of human history. But anybody, all the archaeology, all the scientists are going to sit there and completely say, oh, no. We figured this out years ago. And it's like, well, now all this new information's coming out. We got all this new technology, but you still won't use it. And it's just really weird. Like the whole Göbekli Tepe thing and the whole, and I can't wait to do a whole episode on that. So I don't know, Fishing. Is this BS? I don't know. That's the thing. We just put the stuff out. We're not really here to tell anybody what's right or what's not right. We just, for some reason, we kept seeing this in our feeds, kept seeing this, and was like, well, let's look into this. It might be fun, and let's see. Because to be honest, I've never been a Titanic nut. I've been to that dang Titanic museum in Pigeon Forge one too many times, and wandered through it, and it was neat to see some of the stuff. But some people are obsessed with the Titanic, and other people, not that much. I find it interesting to look into all this stuff.
Yeah. And that's why I have fun with it. When I see a conspiracy theory, I always like to go with the official story. I don't try to go with the conspiracy and try to prove it correct. I try to go and prove the official story. And if, and that's how I try to, and when I come up with like, oh, this official story is crap, this and this, that's how I start to believe some conspiracy. Then I look on the other side. But this one I tried from the official story, and go backwards. And it's pretty cut and dry for me, but everybody has their own opinion, and there's a lot of weird stuff for sure. As you mentioned the book, there's a lot of cool stuff that I didn't even know tonight until you brought it up.
Do you guys find it interesting that the submarine that imploded was named a Titan?
Oh, was it that one? That it was named a Titan, wasn't it? Why the hell would people keep naming things after this?
Right.
What kind of controller did they use on that?
It was a Logitech controller. It was a computer gaming controller. Yeah. It was a cheap one too. It wasn't even a good one.
I wonder if they had like the two jacks, just in case the one went. Yeah, there you go. Well, hell, you can make a submarine right there.
Well, how do you know I'm not?
Oh, okay. You very well may be.
I got some Shanghai to do over in Portland.
So I take it, fools, if Elon Musk, when they figure out how to go land on Mars and have people there, if he offers you a free ride, but the name of the ship is the Titan, you're probably not going to go.
Oh, 100% I'm there. I ain't got no business going to Mars. I don't have no desire to go to Mars. I have no, none of that. I don't want to go to the moon. Like when I was younger, I would have probably tried to do that. But when I was younger, I believed that we actually could. Yeah, so I don't know. So what do y'all want to do? You want to drop the link, see if anybody wants to go here and give us their thoughts?
They can do that or just get on here and hang out. I mean, we're all kind of open at this point, whatever everybody wants to do.
Yeah, let's drop the link, see if anyone wants to come up. I mean, there's not a whole lot more to this story. It's just something fun we wanted to kind of cover. So what we'll do, we'll drop the link. You got that number going there, Baker? You good with that?
Yeah, number's ready. Yep.
All right, cool. So I'm going to go on ahead and drop the link here. LW, if you want to do that. Gutters, you as well. Mm-hmm. And I'll put this up. We got a weird layout tonight because there's only 4 of us, but I did put this up, so we should be able to throw the number up right here like that. So, yeah, there you go. You can click the link to call in, or there is a number right there, 775-644-0644. Call and give us your thoughts. Or, come on here and tell us how we're all crazy. Or if you want to talk about some other conspiracy, you are more than welcome to do that as well. And if not, we'll just sit here and BS for a minute. But anybody is more than welcome to join us. We'll bring one person up at a time. It makes it so much easier that way to control what we got going on. So, yeah, there it is. Go on ahead. The link is right there. And so what do you think, Gutters? Do you believe any of this kind of nonsense? Or
I kind of don't. There's just too many. It's too much. But here again, I'll go back to the whole thing of, if you research it today, you can go back tomorrow and you'll find, some of the stuff that you found yesterday isn't going to be on there. So it is kind of hard to research it, but I just think I don't know. I mean, maybe they were doing stuff back then, but.
Hey, can I go through my spiel on the phone real quick?
yeah, 100%.
Remember when you call in, please, please, please do not be on speakerphone. We can't hardly hear you. I think a headset's fine, but speakerphone's not going to work. Data messages or any kind of long distance charges, don't bug us. Do I think that's a thing anymore? No, but I'm just letting you know this is not a 1-800 number, so be aware of that if you're calling from a landline. And I do want to make one announcement too. We're trying to push Fools to 7,000 subscribers, so if you can, share this out. Get whoever you can to like and subscribe.
Hey, that would be good. And Nightbot is dropping everybody who's on the stream and some other people's links as well. If you're not subbed to these people, please make sure you are subbed. If you're watching on X, we appreciate you being there. Thanks for being there. If you're watching on Gutters Pub channel, thank you. Please make sure you hit the thumbs up. LW is the same over here on Traveling Fools channel. Make sure we've got, people watching from all over different places, but we appreciate each and every one of you being here. So anybody's welcome, like I said, to jump on with us, give us their thoughts, or we can just talk about something else. Because I'm kind of like, this one you can only take so far.
Yeah.
Yes, Jay. No, Jay. We do not collect calls from an inmate correctional facility. No,
well,
Jay.
Hold on. Is this for, to set up a conjugal visit?
Well, is he going to have pants on?
But that's the other question.
Would you be disappointed if he did?
Maybe.
Well, I mean.
And Baker, I can't wait to introduce the folks to that gold mine that you showed me last night.
Oh my God.
I mean, obviously that can't happen here, but we may do after this show. We may go back live and do a test run on something else, possibly to see. We did find an absolute gold mine of hilarious content that we might restream and maybe do like a Mystery Science Theater 2000 type vibe and discuss it as we watch. It might be kind of fun.
But however, if you would like to watch that.
Well, we don't know that yet. We might just try to do it first, regular, and then go back and do that down the road. We want to see if we can get away with it first.
I don't see why we couldn't get away with it, but I mean, the other option is to set up another channel that we can burn down, because we thought about doing a music channel anyways, and it would be funny to play music and then watch what I found last night and then just make subtle comments. But maybe that might be too much noise in the background. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll find out. Hey, we do have somebody jumping on here though with us. Let's hear from the lovely Crispy Treat. How you doing, Crispy?
Hi. How are you guys? Good.
Hi,
Can you hear me? Hi.
We can hear you just fine.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm not in town, so I'm not home yet. But was gonna say to you guys, do you know what the reason that they named that submarine the Titan is because the guy that ran that complete nut job that ran that thing, that submarine that blew up, they his ancestors were from the were on the Titanic, like his grandmother's people, I guess, his mom's people.
Now, would you get in that boat?
In,
In that submarine? Like, if you'd have had the opportunity, would you have gotten
oh
in
my God, you would have had to have held me hostage. There's no way. I would have never in a million years you would have had to put a gun to my head. There's no way.
So that's not inviting
either.
to you. That guy sitting there, Indian style, with a PlayStation remote, saying, "Hey, you want to go see the Titanic?" You wouldn't just jump. You wouldn't just jump right in.
Yeah. And the claustrophobic thing, and then the idea that there was no tether or any hell no.
Yeah, the thing looked like
No.
some kind of weird pill. You know, it's like jumping out. I wonder if they passed the controller around like people were fighting over it. You know, my turn to play, my turn to play.
That's true. That actually did happen. There was a story about that where because this guy was such a lunatic and he had no experience with it, and he was just crazy, and they were fighting over the controller, but it was more about because he descended and crashed right into the shipwreck, and they were all scared. Everybody was screaming, and the actual captain, like the guy that had all the experience, they ended up fighting over that little Game Boy thing. Oh my God. Like, I'd have never gone back down, but these fools just kept doing it, I guess. I don't know. But I watched that whole story on it. Remember, I watched that whole thing. I sent it to you.
Yeah.
It was really good, too.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to even think about. I mean, people are the dumbest humans I know. I mean, I guess that's so. Crispy, let me ask you this: do you believe in any of these conspiracies that we were talking about, or any of that? Do you find any credence in any of those?
No, I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all. So I mean, I just no, I don't. I went to I went to the Titanic, I guess a museum or something. Not the museum, but what do you call that? Like a traveling show. The
Circus. The
No.
Titanic circus. Come on in under the big top, folks. Guess your weight.
Titanic.
Guess your buoyancy. I can guess your buoyancy. Can you float or not?
I prefer to think of the Titanic the way that what do you call it? And like an exhibition.
Right.
Like a
I've been to that
Titanic.
one in Pigeon Forge before.
Yeah, this was
you know,
a
that's-
traveling one. It was stupid.
Yeah.
Was it
Yeah.
stupid? Yeah.
I mean, it was neat to see once. I've only been there once, but it's not like something I'd want to go back to.
Yeah. I mean, it was ours was a bunch of broken china and champagne bottles and stuff. It just, okay. I don't know. I was not that enamored by it. The whole
Right, I wasn't either. Going to the thing, I wasn't that thrilled. I mean, it was neat to how many things do you want to stop and look at? Oh, this was a like you said, champagne bottle. Here was some cutlery. Here was some, and it's like, oh boy, this is pretty bad.
And
But-
that whole thing about going back down to that shipwreck. I mean, there's already been a bazillion photos and footage and stuff of the shipwreck. I mean, some of the neatest was on the movie. They showed,
Right.
real live images and stuff of that. So it's what are you really going down there to look at? We could see it. Is it going to be that much better in person than it is film? I don't
Right,
know.
likely not.
Because I mean, you're looking through a window. It's not like you're out there swimming through it. couldn't swim through it, right? Because like you would kill you, right?
I mean, what, like down there as it is?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Did people go inside it? I think they did, didn't they? Didn't they swim inside it and explore?
I don't know. I don't think you can. You would have to.
Well, why couldn't you? I mean, if
No,
it's
the
just sitting
ship's
down there.
the ship's too far
It's
down.
too-
You can't. You can't.
Yeah, it'd blow your
I thought-
ears
You can only
out.
get a submarine down there.
No, yeah, it's way too deep. You'd
So
explode.
they never had people? Okay, maybe not.
Yeah.
No. Well, I mean, they had people in a little submersible called the Titan that was controlled by a Logitech controller.
Didn't Jacques Cousteau, isn't he the one that always went down? Like,
Well, the guy who made the Titanic, James Cameron, he actually built one, and he's gone down there and done a bunch of filming himself.
Yeah,
he's
he
actually
had.
James Cameron. Yeah.
he's actually driven the one that he was telling that guy and telling
Yeah.
everybody, this guy's a clown. He's gonna blow up. You know?
Yes, yes. Well, and he like repurposed things for that little pill, and I don't for the submarine. What are they called again? They're not even called submarines. They're called
Submersibles.
submersibles. But like he was just bypassing all these inspections, and then like you could hear even. It's so awful, but you could hear it like even cracking. Like you could hear they were using I guess is it titanium or something, which has been great for
They were using like
for airplanes.
They were using like carbon fiber.
Oh, that's right. LW is carbon fiber, not titanium. But it's been
Or
great
something
for
like that.
air for like planes, but not submarines.
Yeah,
Right?
and then when they sit it down to do testing, they could hear it snapping
Yes.
and coming apart. And he was like,
Yes.
"Oh, that just means it's working."
Yeah,
You could hear
that's
it
absolutely
cracking.
ridiculous. That is
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous. Now, see, I'm going to push back on you guys, though, with your science there, being it too deep. Here you go. Let me share screen here. And bring this up.
I
Let me-
didn't think you could go down there with your scuba gear.
Yeah. So here's Dive Magazine. First scuba dive of the Titanic. The 1st of April, 2018. There you go. Right there.
Well, that's the thing with the camera. That's not a person, is it?
Yes, that's a scuba diver.
What an idiot. Like, why would you can't go down there with, no, there's no freaking way.
The world's first attempt to scuba dive the Titanic's once thought to be impossible was successfully carried out this weekend. RMS Titanic, possibly the most famous shipwreck of all time, struck an iceberg and blah, 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 blah. So James Cameron did this. So the dive took years of planning, said Cameron, the extreme diver who undertook the challenge. Oh, wow. Or no, said Cameron James. That's kind of weird, not James Cameron. Undertook the challenge, reportedly spending as much as $200 million in the process. You can't just jump off a boat and swim down, said Mr. James. It's over 4 kilometers deep, and the water is very cold. Blah, blah, blah. Instead, James took a deep submersible down to the Titanic, exited through a special chamber that serves as both an airlock and a lavatory, where he was able to spend just a few short minutes exploring the upper deck of the ship.
Yeah, but I thought they took his little thing, and it
did.
wasn't him personally that was scuba diving.
Yes,
Was
that's
it?
him. This is a
No,
picture of him doing it.
Or
Who took the picture?
Well, I mean, the boat probably. Anyway, they did it. That's all I'm saying is I knew that they had.
Well, because they did take like one of those. little
Okay, wait a
skinny-
minute. Maybe I'm getting hosed here.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe this isn't true. Who knows? I don't know.
is this on flatearth.com?
Yeah, maybe.
Because they had like a little. They did take like a little.
Yeah, maybe
skinny
this isn't
camera.
true. I don't know. Maybe this is a spoof article. I don't know. Maybe this is what I read that thought that they had. So, yeah, maybe not. I mean, I don't see. It seems like they would be able to do it, but you'd have to spend like a whole lot of time down there first or something like, pressurizing
yeah.
yourself or something. But, yeah, this kind of doesn't make sense. Now that I read more about it, I'm like, yeah, maybe not. Maybe that's not true. Because I see the
And
point. Like, you couldn't
James
just dive
Cameron
down
is-
to the pressure. But, yeah.
Yeah.
Now he drove one of those little things around it, like right up on it. He did that
Right.
for sure.
Yeah. But he's
Right.
dead too, by the way.
Who's that?
James Cameron.
Right, and that's why this thing's saying Cameron James. That's why I'm kind of like saying, all right, I think this is a a shit article messing with people.
Well, I just was thinking that it might just be somebody that spoke a different, or just somebody from a foreign country.
Aquaman.
Aquaman.
Man.
We got Aquaman going down there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking it was, but I don't know. But I'll tell you what, I watched that little submarine thing or whatever I watched. It was like I don't know, it might have been two or three parts or something, and it was by Stephanie Harlow. And it's really, really good. If you guys have not seen it, it was so good. Well, I sent it to all of you.
Which James Cameron's dead?
The one
he's
from
alive.
the Titanic.
No, he's alive.
The director,
No,
he's
he's
still
dead.
alive.
Oh, well, someone from is he?
Yeah.
Jack's dead because that bitch didn't move over.
God,
Right.
I swear to God, that lady, she's the most selfish person in history.
I agree.
Right.
Like, I could not believe she was just letting him lay there on that door, or she just laid on that door and hogged the whole thing and like didn't take a turn.
Hey. Maybe Jack just wanted to be a hero.
Well,
Some of the worst villains in movie history is Rose from Titanic and Jenny from Forrest Gump. The worst.
Jenny was a super
Just putting this
villain.
out there. No, the phone system does not cost money to use as long as you are using a cellular device. Obviously, if you're using a landline, like Baker explained earlier, yes, it would, because it would be long distance to Las Vegas. But if you're just using a cellular phone, like 99.9, everybody except for Dave Brown.
I was going
then,
to say Dave Brown
yes, it
has
is free.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Crispy, you got anything else for us? I got
That's
somebody in the
it.
back wanting to come up here, and
Guys are done.
well, always appreciate you coming on. Appreciate all you do there in the chat and all that jazz too. You got any last words for these beautiful people?
Oh, I love you, beautiful people. How about that?
I like it.
I'll see
We
you
love
guys.
you, darling.
I love you. I'll see ya.
All right,
See you
thanks so
later.
much for
Bye.
Bye, Crispy.
always get these names all mixed up. All right, so we got somebody else wanting to come up here with us. Let me see if I can do it. Let's see, Jaren. Oh, we just lost him. Well, dang it. We lose the person. It was saying their device stopped connecting right then.
Oh, darn it.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be back. I'm sure they'll be back. Well, that was a fun call. Let's see. Yeah, I think most people are saying, yeah, this is not a real thing with this. These
I just
conspiracies here.
I just wanted to address something else on TK's question. If you're asking if the phone system costs for us to use on this phone, the answer is yes. We had to not get technical, but we had to spin up a PBX in the cloud, and then we have to pay for that, and then we got to pay for the actual VoIP service that's feeding the PBX. So this is why super chats are important. This is why all of the support that we get from you guys is important, because it helps pay for this stuff.
Very well said there, Baker. Very well said. All right, we got Goose Sports up here. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I can't believe you missed the article. It says April Fool's Day 20.
I know.
know.
I saw
I told
that
him
right
to
there.
scroll back up. He wouldn't do it.
Wait a minute, I'm like, can he not see that? I'm like,
Yeah, when I read the thing and I said Cameron James, and then I went and I actually saw that at the top. I went, okay, because I saw those pictures the other day and I was like, well, I guess people have figured it out, But yeah. So I'm not always the bright or sharpest spoon in the drawer,
yeah, I'm falling for stuff like that too, so don't worry about it.
So how you doing there, Goose?
Oh, and it's the last Friday until really, next week is the real, college football season starts. So I'm just waiting to see. I'm waiting for Brian Kelly. I'm waiting for Brian Kelly to fall flat on his face next Saturday. So
Again.
again. I'm just waiting for it because I have no faith. So anyway.
So what do you think on the whole Titanic thing?
I think Rose should have moved over and let Jack on the on the door. They could have had a happy life together. I don't know why she didn't move over, but yeah. So, but I just think I just think they were going way too fast. They thought that whatever they saw, they can move, they can turn. I don't think there's any conspiracy like, oh, they intentionally wrecked it. I just think that they were just negligent, and they thought they can, if they saw an iceberg, they can turn. And so that's why.
Yeah, they don't think, what is it, only like 10% of an iceberg or 20% is above water. So, I mean, you have no idea what it does.
Yeah, but underneath, yeah.
Right.
But,
you got to kind of go with that too.
Stuff, with the binoculars and stuff like that. So, and but supposedly it was a calm night, and you can't see you couldn't see the waves on the iceberg. So, I've heard all that stuff, but
yeah. And then they say one other thing we didn't bring up. They say that it was like a weird time with like the moon or the Earth being close to the moon, which would have caused high tides. It was like a weird timing in the cycle to where the height, and that's probably why that iceberg would have came down and entered into that area. So,
and again with the light boats, like they just said earlier, that was protocol back then.
Right.
You didn't have, nowadays you have to have light boats for everybody on the cruise ship. So
right.
That was his protocol. I mean it's kind of weird, but that was
So, yeah, people were expendable back then,
Yeah, the third class was expendable. So,
right.
We would have been expendable down in steerage.
Right. It's like when all the elites move to Mars before the meteor gets here. We're going to be grounders. We've already figured that out.
I want to go to Venus. I want to go to forget Mars. I want to go to Venus. I mean, so.
Well, yeah. Well, Venus. I think that's the hottest planet, though.
Yeah. But supposedly you can build stuff above the clouds. Supposedly. The atmosphere is stable above a certain point in the atmosphere, and you can live there, supposedly. So.
It's like some Jetson stuff right there.
Yeah, the Jetson stuff, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe that's where they lived.
Right.
But, I mean,
almost made a bad Jetson joke. But.
Jetsons.
Oh, shoot. Well, you got anything else for us, Goose?
No, just waiting for next weekend to start and see what happens next week. But
you gonna be streaming in the games tomorrow?
The Saints play tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
I gotta watch the Saints. Sean Payton's coming back to the Superdome.
There you go.
I gotta watch Denver beat the Saints. Oh, that was preseason, but still, I mean,
well,
it's gonna be a long season for the Saints. They got a lot of holes on that football team that they're not gonna win very many games. I mean, they might win 3, 4, 5 tops. It's going to be a long season.
Yeah, well, as a Dolphins fan, I can understand.
Yeah, maybe we'll get Arch Manning or something like that. Although he said he's not going to come out in the draft this year, but I don't necessarily believe that right away. I mean,
yeah.
If he had a chance to be
money talks.
If he could be the number 1 pick in the draft and get umpteen millions of dollars, I mean he's going to come out. It's my opinion, but
well, cool, buddy. Well, I'll definitely see you live tomorrow. Appreciate you coming up.
Yeah. I gotta watch the Aints. So
there we go.
All right, man.
Well, Goose Sports, everybody checking in with us. Always good to talk to Goose, man. And I appreciate you coming on the show the other night too, as well.
No problem, man. Have a good one.
All right, see you, buddy.
Later, Goose.
All right, so we do appreciate Goose Sports. Everybody, you do make sure you go over there and check out Goose Sports. Good friend of mine, got a great channel. If somebody could drop his link in there to make sure it's out there, sub up Goose Sports. He's a great guy. So we've been informed here we do have a caller on the line. Let's give it away to Baker.
Yeah, we've got Jaron calling in from Virginia. Jaron, you're live.
Hey, everybody. How y'all doing tonight?
How you doing there, Jaron?
Doing all right. Well, we were on the subject of the Titanic a minute ago, and I just wanted to, I think I put this in the comment section just a little while ago, but all the research that I've done and everything that I've read on it and everything, from what I understand is that it really wasn't, as almost indestructible as they said it was. I don't know whether it was just pure hubris or whether it was a part of the plan all along, but it's just I personally think it was the Olympic, and they just switched them out at the last minute and sent it to its demise. And I think the iceberg just kind of was a convenient inconvenience and just kind of sped up the inevitable. This might be a little too far conspiracy for maybe some of y'all, but I don't think it was ever meant to make it to its destination anyway. I think the iceberg just kind of, intervened, which was already put into motion. So.
Well, see, I can assure you there's nothing too far conspiratorial for us, but and that's where I was giving some credence to the thought of I can see them switching that out and doing that. I mean, it seems almost impossible, but I could see them having done that. Do I think that they sank it on purpose? I'm not sure, but I could see them having switched it. What say you? You still there with us there?
Oh, y'all still there? Oh, I thought I lost you.
No. So yeah. Go on.
No, it was just it just seems weird. Like the whole thing, just the more you read up on it, the more you learn about it. Just the whole thing just seems like one big, just cluster of insanity. Like how did you ever, how did so many things go wrong? So conveniently. So it just, like you were saying earlier, like, the binoculars are locked in the cabinet. Like nobody was strong enough to break into a cabinet. Like it's just, there's so many things that just seem like they were laid out before that, ever went into the, open water. So, and as far as the Stockton Rush thing, the guy that, built the submersible and went down there, I don't know what that guy was thinking. He went into like the camper world and got a whole bunch of stuff was on sale, and I think he made the roof with he was bragging about. He said, "Yeah, and I got this from Camper World." When CBS was doing the walkthrough of the thing. Well, I guess it was a crawl through because you couldn't really stand up in there. But
oh no, he went through the clearance section at Camper World. Oh no.
Right.
Yeah. It's just the whole thing is just that I've accepted that this is going to be one of those things that bothers me until I'm in my 80s, 90s, because I just, when that first happened, ironically, my family and I were going on a trip to Kentucky. I mean, not to Kentucky, to Tennessee, where the museum is, and we didn't even stop because I guess people were sick of hearing me, talk about the submersible incident because it was just so fresh in everybody's mind. So that was just hilarious to me how that had just happened and we ended up there. But that Stockton
well, you
Rush
dodged
thing,
a bullet.
They lose planes in the.
You dodged a bullet not having to go to that museum.
Yeah, we did all the other stuff to do in Gatlinburg. We didn't even bother with the Titanic thing. And then you told me about how boring it is. I was like, I really just, I don't feel bad anymore that I, missed out on it. So.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't that great. Like I said, there's only so many pieces of cutlery and broken pottery you want to look at, but.
Right. It's like I've seen old, cutlery before,
Right.
So
I mean, it was like if you could just go to it and it only cost $10 or something, you could just go through it and walk through it really fast. But, there's people in front of you. They want to stop and push the button on every dang thing. And there's clutters of people and you're trying to go in and out. And, they want to hear the story of this little thing. And the story is like, oh, Jesus, save me now.
It's just like, please, right, exactly, like, please, end the misery. But one more note I wanted to make, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but the sheer weight of, like, the ocean at that far down is just something that, like, most people, I don't think, including myself, can really fathom, because it's just the water pressure down there. And for, that guy that made the submersible, just to think that he could build something that looked akin to like an ibuprofen to go down to see the Titanic, with there are fish down there. Like, any of you ever seen like the blobfish? Like when they bring it to the surface, it like its organs like force itself inside out because it's so used to water pressure that it can't survive without, the crushing pressure of the ocean. It's just like we can't even. There's nothing left to see of the Titanic. We have documented it for over 100 years at this point. Just let just let that be a lesson in history and just move on. I don't understand why that had to happen. You know, it just seems just really, really messed up that I feel, you know, a lot of people making fun of it and everything, like, oh, they were billionaires, who cares? I mean, that side of it I didn't agree with, but because, you know, they're still people at the end of the day, but the sheer stupidity of it, that did bother me. It still bothers me, but I just, you know, I don't know if I added anything to the conversation. That was just a, you know, comment.
No, you 100% added to the conversation. We like having people call in, give us their thoughts on them. That's kind of the point, you know. That's kind of what we're trying to do here. So yeah, we do appreciate it. That's that. Oh yeah. So I do have to ask you. We like to ask everybody who calls in. Do you believe or do you not believe that we walked or that we actually went to the moon in 1969?
As a kid, I was 100% sold on it. As a teenager, I was 100% sold on it. As an adult, I think it was darn near impossible.
It's funny because I think 90%, over 90% of the people we ask that question to, they all give us that exact same answer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's the wonder of it all. Like, oh my goodness, America strong. You know, we beat the Russians into space. You know, all of the, you know, but then when you break it down and you really look at it, and you, again, that's another rabbit hole that we could go down. But there are too many indiscrepancies because they claim that there's no wind up there. So how is the flag, you know, blowing in the wind if there's no wind? How in the world were they basically doing a live stream from the moon to Walter Cronkite in the 60s? Like, how in the world, like, you know, either they had this technology back then and they just, you know, showcased it for that one event and then they released it to the public decades later, or that was a complete fabrication. Because how was Nixon able to call from the White House to the moon and there was no lag?
On a rotary phone. I
still have a landline phone. Exactly. Like, I still have a landline phone. I know y'all were joking about that earlier. But I'm from a rural area, so a lot of us still have landlines. And I can tell you, using a landline from one town to the other, there's a delay. So for him to be, you know, calling from Earth to the moon and there was absolutely no delay with a rotary phone in the 60s, I just...
Well, if you had to pick...
has to wonder.
Okay, if you had to pick... Would you get in that hunk of junk that they landed on the moon, supposedly, that thing with duct tape all over it, wrapped up, looks like, you know, something a child made in a thing? Or would you get in a submarine powered by a Nintendo or game controller and go to the Titanic? Which would you be more likely to do?
I mean, this is a horrible situation to be put in. It's like, do you want to be boiled to death or do you want to be tarred and feathered? Like, what? This is terrible either way. I think no. I can't justify it. I would go on the moon thing. I'd go on the little duct tape space thing. I would never get in that.
He's picking a duct tape space machine.
That Fisher Price. That Fisher Price submersible that he made, I couldn't do it. I would go on the duct tape fake moon landing little device.
Either way, you might as well, you know, book a flight on the new airline, 9/11 Airlines. I mean, he's probably about the same.
Yeah. Sponsored by Boeing, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I guess I would go to the, you know. Well, you know, like Katy Perry, she just went into, you know, space, so she's practically an astronaut. So, I mean, you know.
Oh, yeah. Those are the astronauts of the future.
Yeah, you know. They were like, oh, we had such intensive training, you know. It's like, to hook your seatbelt? Like, that's crazy. But
yeah, that was one of the biggest facades ever. Geez, horrible.
I mean, Neil Armstrong.
I mean, it was
Buzz Aldrin,
a good
Gail
publicity
Kim.
stunt, you know. Yeah. It's just.
To wrap this up, so you believe that just so we got everything straight. Number one, you believe that, well, no way in heck we went to the moon, and I agree with you that. But you believe there's a possibility they did switch to ships.
I do. I firmly believe that. I don't know whether it was a plan for months leading up to it or whether it was a last-minute decision, But I firmly believe the ship that sunk was the Olympic, and the Titanic just never, Because who was going to... Who could verify it? What was it, 1914 when that happened, or 19? So who?
You're right.
Who was there to make sure, like, okay, don't do anything sketchy. We got to set sail in the morning, So I firmly believe that was the Olympic, but none of us, I guess, have any concrete proof. But I just, in my gut, feel like we've got a defective ship. We've got a ship that kind of works. Let's put everybody on the defective one, and whether it was for insurance purposes, whatever it was, I think it was the Olympic.
Yeah, and it's hard to imagine. My problem with the whole thing is hard to imagine that they conveniently knew there was going to be an iceberg. One of the theories that I forgot to mention this one earlier, was that they were explosions that were made. And the people talk about hearing loud booms, and explosions. There's so many of them out there that, people afterwards were interviewed saying, and they wrote that off as the boilers exploding, but they say it happened before the iceberg was hit. I mean, there's so many different things that went wrong with this that it's so hard to look at it and go, where there's smoke, there's fire a lot of times, but at the same time, it's just hard to believe.
There's always, I mean, and not to open up another subject, because I know we got to wrap it up, but that's kind of the same feeling I get with the whole, the 9/11 thing. When people said weeks leading up to that, they could hear stuff in the walls, they could hear things, all kinds of different noises and everything. So I feel like the same kind of setup happened with that. But like I said, that's a story for another show. But with the Titanic thing, I can definitely see how, but if you've never been on a ship before, how do you know that that's not just a normal, part of the ship's function? Okay, this thing kind of creaks at night. This thing kind of rattles. This, you wouldn't know. The captain and all the engineers and stuff would know, but the passengers, just everyday normies, they wouldn't know that it was slowly coming apart. So, so it's
right.
The
and that's
more you
the thing
learn about the world, the more you learn how much we've been lied to.
Right, exactly.
Oh, 100%.
Yep.
What's that, LW? What were you trying to say?
I was going to say, and that's the problem with some stuff, is like you think about in modern terms of your experiences, or not you personally, Jaron, but just people in general, of their experiences on boat. Well, it's also in it's 2025, 2024. It wasn't 1912 where the boat was fueled by a bunch of dudes under the bottom shoveling coal into the, you know what I'm saying? So there was probably some crazy sounds, like I don't know. It's a whole different deal, but
right.
like you said, it's interesting stuff,
yeah.
and there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense, and there's stuff that does make sense. But that's what I love about conspiracies; they're fun to talk about.
Yeah, that's like somebody said earlier. I'm not really a huge Titanic buff, but like the things I run across, I'm like, this wasn't what it was marketed to be. This was always something crazy was always supposed to happen with this ship. For whatever reason, I just firmly feel like that was just a doomed voyage.
Exactly. Here's another question I have, Jared.
Uh-huh.
If somebody said, even God couldn't sink this ship, would you get on that ship?
Oh no. I'm canceling my ticket. I'm doing whatever. I'm getting off.
Right.
Like, I'm leaving. No, you just tempted. No.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing that. I can't. I'm not going to enforce my my faith on anyone else in that moment. But I'm going to be like, I just strongly advise against boarding the ship that they have just said, God himself can't bring this down. I'm like, oh, okay. Yep. I don't need to see whatever's on the other side of the ocean. I can be.
That's a surefire.
Right here. Like, but you live in
that's a
tent.
surefire
That's okay.
comment. That means it's sinking.
I would see that flyer. Even God
Yeah,
can't see
yeah,
this.
that-
I'd be like, well, I'm going to sit this one out and see how this goes.
Exactly.
I feel like God's getting ready
Yeah.
to prove him
Yeah.
wrong.
Tempting
Yeah.
fate is
If
never
it's one thing
never a
about
smart
ego
idea.
is that it will humble you every time. You know. Yeah, pride cometh before the fall, like they say. So, you know,
Right,
that is
100%.
a shining example of that, I would say.
I love it. Well, Jaron, you got any last words for us here, buddy?
Oh, well, I just, thank y'all for having me on. This is the first time I'm one of Gutter's subscribers, so I'm, first time that I've come on her show. Well, yeah, I guess everybody's show, jointly together. And, I guess I'll call in another night when you hit another topic. This was fun. I enjoyed it. Nice to meet everybody. Gutter almost got me in trouble with one of our other friends that streams, Rick Gore, the other day, because I put a comment in his thing and he got upset and he didn't realize that I was that I didn't have enough space in the one comment to say everything I had to say. And she went in the comment section and she was like, "Are you trying to get Rick upset on purpose?" I was like, "No, I promise you, I just didn't have enough space to type everything out."
Yeah, he's easy to trigger.
Yeah. I mean, I've been following him. I've talked to him, over StreamYard a few times. I've talked to him, here and there. But I really tried not to set him off. But that was totally just, accident.
Some
right there.
people, some people are
this was
very
fun.
easily triggered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That-
But we're
You
glad
won't
you
fi-
came
won't
on.
find- I can assure you, you won't find that over here. We are not very easily triggered. We actually like a good troll. So if you want to type something trolling in the comment section, you're always more than welcome.
Yeah.
We actually like it.
Yeah.
Awesome,
Yeah, and
awesome.
well,
I'll keep that in mind for future.
yeah, and remember that I'm usually, if I'm over there and I'm doing something like that to you, I'm trolling you as well. So it's just,
Right,
never take
right.
me serious.
Oh yeah. I know. Trust me. I followed along far enough. I'm like,
Oh,
yeah.
good,
If Gutter is in the chat, it's time to, everybody's gonna have a blast watching the back and forth with her and Rick.
I'm glad you enjoy it.
Well, look, thank y'all for having me. Thank y'all
Thanks
for
for
having
coming
me
on.
Hey,
so much. I
Jaron, we
enjoyed
really
this.
appreciate you coming on. Make sure you do call back in. You're a really good caller, so make sure you do call back in. That's super awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I certainly will. It was nice
All right,
speaking
buddy.
with everybody.
All
Good night,
right, you
Jaron.
have a great night, buddy.
Bye, Jaron.
All right. Y'all too. Good night. God bless. Good night.
God bless you too, sir.
Yeah, I like Dozer's got it right there. Thumbs up caller right there.
Yep.
That was a great call.
Absolutely.
I love the sound of the phone line. I like that so much. Mm-hmm. So much better there.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
he
he's
had
fun.
great information. He flowed well. Yeah, perfect.
I like Jaron. Jaron's
Yep.
a nice guy.
Yep.
There we go. Well, yeah, I mean, we're almost to the 2-hour mark here that we always try to stick to. Anybody got any last Titanic words or anything like that? I think
Nope.
Baker
It was a
might
fun
have.
show. Fun show. Good conspiracy. A lot of fun stuff. Great callers. I kind of think it's probably just, a pretty shitty captain. A bunch of rich people thinking they.
A bunch of rich people thinking they're on the unsinkable ship. They're too good to die,
Right.
Yeah.
Some of the
Find
other
out
ones.
fast.
Yeah, some of the theories don't match up timeline-wise as far as the Federal Reserve. I don't think they were. I don't know. It's fun. I think it's interesting. They all make sense. The conspiracies all make sense, but when you go too deep, it's like I can't really find anything that makes me believe it. But it's fun to talk about, and I had a blast.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with that. Let me go through real quick. Big shout out to Kentucky Blue Balls, $2 super chat there, man. Much appreciated. That helps us keep these call lines going and all that kind of stuff like that. Thank you so much, Kentucky Blue Balls. Love the name too. Great content. He does put out great content about the University of Kentucky football, basketball, all that kind of stuff. Super cool guy. Make sure everybody subs him up if you're not already. Kentucky Blue Balls, thanks a lot. Beer and Backroads gifting out a membership. Much appreciated to that as well. D. What getting it? Good for you, D. What? Make sure you thank Beer and Backroads when you see them. Thanks so much, both you guys. So Gutters, what do you got going on the rest of this week?
Pretty much just the same old, same old. I'll be there on Tuesday night. Hopefully, we keep it a little away from a little political, but not too much, so that we're not stressing everybody out and they're not getting burnt out on it. So, and yeah, we're just gonna keep rolling along. Friday, we'll see how things.
Rolling.
That's right. Friday, we'll see how things go.
Well, Cam, back up. I want to see you bounce back in that chair again. That was kind of fun,
Okay.
That was kind of cool there.
Make sure.
She's got a pep in her step
I gotta
these
make
days.
sure my boobs and everything's in gear here.
I don't know.
I don't want
I always hate
anything,
these safety checks.
flying out. Okay.
Okay,
See,
much
it's
better.
fun.
Is it so? This is the new chair you got?
It is.
Does it not have a back? What the
does
hell
have
did you
a
get?
back,
A pogo
but it-
stick? What the hell you got
Oh,
going
right.
on here?
What are you doing now? What's going on?
I don't know.
Go way far back. So, but here's the deal. Do you want to see what it looks like? Here, I'll show you.
All right, let's see what the chair looks like. Somebody tells
Pick
me
it up.
if she's going to get hurt or this is going to get
No,
really
no, no,
loud.
no, no.
What in the hell is this?
That's the chair?
Yes. And see, look. See the wheels? Okay.
So it really is like it's a, oh
It's
my
a
God,
ball.
this is like
It's
one of
an
those
exercise
workout
ball.
balls with a back to
Yes.
it.
With a back to it. You have no idea how much fun it is.
We can only imagine.
Right.
We can only imagine the attachments it came with, too.
Well, I am a redneck. I can
Wow.
engineer stuff.
Have fun.
Oh,
with
we
it.
didn't
Fun with it.
realize that. We didn't realize that. Crispy
Yeah.
says we need more RV talk as well. So yeah, that's
No, we
yeah,
don't.
Definitely, Crispy. Do
Can
not
somebody
say
delete
please.
that comment from
Yeah,
the
Oh,
website?
God.
would somebody
Just so-
see Crispy out the chat, please?
Just so you know, there will be more RV talk come Monday because I'm going to get it. Because, hey, listen to this one. They told me that my levelers were supposed to
All right,
work
and
like that.
so LW, what do
So-
you got coming on? What do you got going on this week? Anything you going to be going live anytime soon or anything like that?
Yeah, I want to try this weekend, maybe early next week. I want to do some college football talk. Keep it off of this show and Gutter Show. But we're going to have some fun. Baker, you, some other people maybe. But let's do it. My show, your show. It's college football time.
It's college football time.
And she's just going to be in the corner while we talk about college football, bouncing on her chair.
Yeah,
her
we
new
can
chair.
just put it over there. She didn't have to listen to us. She can just listen to another show.
Right.
Just bounce, Gutters, bounce, Gutters, bounce. Baker, are those crazy people? Is that other thing going on tonight or no?
I have to go look.
Yeah, go look and let me know before we close out of here. We do have as always trivia night coming at you this Sunday night. We do have trivia night, so make sure that starts at 10:05 Eastern Standard Time every Sunday night. Super fun. Always have a good time over here. And make sure everybody does tune into that over on Traveling Fools channel. I don't want to get confused as to other people's channels. But we do have trivia night every Sunday night. It's really fun. Chat-based trivia. You type in the chat. Programs do it all. Calculate the things. And it's a pretty good time.
So the answer is negative, Ghost Rider.
Negative?
Dang.
Negative.
They don't
Yep,
do
they're
that
not
on
doing it.
Friday nights?
No, I knew that they didn't do it on one of those nights, and I could have swore it was earlier in the week, but yeah, they're not doing it on Friday nights. But I don't know how we're gonna do this. But my God, I don't know how I'm going to not laugh the entire time.
Oh, it's absolute gold. So we got some really fun content coming up for you guys that we're going to be putting out there. Other than that, anybody got any last words they want to say? Anything like that?
Sun Honey has the same chair.
Oh, there you go. Well, I like Sun Honey even more.
Okay.
All right. Any last words? Anybody got anything to say?
Thanks for being here.
I was distracted by her bouncing. But
Yeah, well.
we'll see y'all in a couple weeks or whenever we do this next week.
Yeah, next week. What do we cover next week? We know that already?
It's
Google Map.
We discussed doing the Google Map stuff, but it's still open for debate.
I don't want to do that if I'm not going to be here, though, and I might not be able to be here, so don't do that.
Okay,
yet.
we'll talk about that amongst ourselves. We'll argue
but
amongst
hey,
ourselves, folks.
If anybody's got any ideas, leave it in the
Yes.
comments. We're always taking suggestions.
Most
It's just
definitely.
we try to settle on something on Monday or Tuesday so that I have time to go do, all the stuff.
Yeah, please make sure you have hit the thumbs up and comment, not live comment, but go back in the video and leave an actual comment so we can see that in the suggestions down there. Anything you want us to cover, anything like that. Once again, thanks so much going out there to If Beer and Backroads Was a Person and Kentucky Blue Balls for supporting what we're doing over here. We really do appreciate that. Gutters is bouncing away. We can get some fun music going here for us. Let's see what we can do here.
Come on.
Good to see you, Dozer. Good to see you.